thought I'd make you a quick video because it was a short answer on that water diverter. So the problem is with some of the flashings around the skylight and then how to marry them all together and what happens. So here's the end rafter detail of the canopies, the four-sided ones and the triangular one. And we made this two-piece flashing, and we keep it low and tucked off to the side so we can go by these rod tie-offs and also some tubing. So we jump over to the model. I can show you, I made a real quick model to kind of look at it on this rake skylight. And here's the flashing. And by keeping it nested over to the side, we can pass these big tubes. And this guy here, we'll have to notch it and caulk around the plate, but we don't want the flashing to run into all this rod and clevis and all that stuff. So that's an easy way to get around those, and it still closes off that little crack. So here we are at the straight edge of the skylight. You know, we got our flashing. I did not model the gutter. The tubes do project past, so I think your gutter is only going to go inside to inside. And then we got our flashing here on the edge again, and I sort of ran it up to the rake, and then I put the rake gutter in, and then that flashing that we have, and that profile of that flashing is as it is so that we can get around this guy. And we'll kind of cope it out so we can seal around the plate, but I wanted to keep that fixed flashing flush with this plate so I could seal it. The problem is that the skylight is expanding down, so the skylight bar is moving up and downhill with thermal expansion. So thus the flashing is pinned to the rake beam, the steel beam, so it doesn't move around. The skylight is going to move over the top of it. And then I haven't quite worked out how these end, but I don't want to turn this panel into a diverter because it's got to seal the skylight and move, but now it's trying to tie into the rake, and then it doesn't really have much strength, and it's sticking up in the air, and then it's carrying water to nowhere because I don't think the gutter's going to be at the end here. And then you have a similar thing up here is what happens on this side, where I have the same end flashing to get around this little post, big post, and then how do we tie it into the rake gutter? You know, it just sort of starts and stops with no real method to tie the whole thing together. And we've got to worry about the expansion. So this is the steel in the rake gutter down here. The aluminum isn't quite so important, but I don't know if you would want to take a steel plate and run it down here and then at some point kick it away, but I don't know how you get it into the gutter. I think you might be better off taking that the mop-on waterproofing and turn that down the inside of the steel. Your steel could maybe marry into this piece and sort of make a trough here, and then if you put that roofing and mop that all in to carry the water here. But now you got to figure out how to get it into the gutter, which I didn't model. If you'd want, then I don't mind flashing over the top of it, but we're gonna like nail it down with screws. But keep in mind, everything for the skylight is expanding up and down the hill, and I don't know how to tie this all together. I don't see a good way to make it work. So that's why I'm like leery of saying I'll do it, because I don't see an answer. I don't see a good answer here, and I don't see a good answer here. My guess is something fundamental has to be decided to change the problem to make it something more solvable. Because right now I think it's going to look like a hodgepodge of different parts stuck together, and they're going to end up trying to do things they're not meant to do. I wish I had a design to offer you. I don't. I would not mind if this flashing went away altogether, so I could make a simple movement joint at the skylight and keep everything for the skylight right on the edge of the steel. That would be ideal for me. This metal was shown in the contract drawings. It's not a lot of metal, but it's problematic, and I can solve it for the run, but I have not solved it for the ends. Um, anyway, I hope that helps kind of illustrate why I said I really wasn't interested in the diverter, because there's all kinds of problems. There's how to transition, how to do the movement, where are you diverting the water to, how does the movement happen there, and what materials to make it out of. Hope this helps you guys a little bit. Thanks.